What's up, everybody, and welcome to the In Love with Horror podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Major.
And I'm Kristie. Join us for a love affair with all things horror as we explore the world of horror films, games, and everything in between.
All right, y'all. So this is actually the first episode in our Christmas horror series where we'll be talking about some of our favorite Christmas horror films. So this is the first episode, and this episode is going to kick off with Krampus, y'all. That's one of our favorite Christmas horror films. We're going to do a dive into kind of like our top 3 reasons why Krampus is just a dope Christmas horror film. Like I said, this is the first episode of a series that we'll be talking about. There'll be 4 episodes total?
4 episodes total.
Yeah, 4 episodes total this month, focusing all on Christmas horror, y'all. And along with that too, we'll be dropping on Wednesday a 12 days of horror miss, where it's a list of horror films to watch leading up to Christmas Day. And it'll be 12 films, 12 of our favorites, so you can watch along with us each day leading up to Christmas Day. So that's exciting. Make sure you are subscribed and following us for that graphic to drop out. And we'll do a little post maybe on our social media each day, so we can have like a discussion column or comment section about each film. That should be very exciting. But yeah, y'all, it is the holiday time frame. I'm sure everyone's still out there doing a lot of their last minute shopping. I'm sure we still gotta do some last.
We have a lot of last minute shopping.
We got some last minute shopping to do, y'all. It is real out here. But I think it'd be kind of cool for us to mention kind of what we do want for Christmas.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll let you go first, babe. What this year? What was on your list of things that you might have wanted?
I want a Switch.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep, you did say you want a Switch.
Yes, and some new shoes.
Yeah.
I want some Converse. I want some black ones, all black.
Yeah, because you wanted to get the Switch to try to ease into
gaming. Because I'm not a big gamer, but you are, and I want to be able to play with you and stuff like that. So I figured I'd get me a Switch, get into it. Really, I've played a little bit here and there, but I've never been sat down and played an entire game or anything like that. But yeah, I just do want to get into it a little bit, a little bit, get my feet wet.
All right, yeah. There's a lot of what I'm gonna call beginner gamer friendly type of games on the Switch. It's definitely the platform. Yeah. For sure. For me, I'm a technology person, so
yes, absolutely.
I'll take a new TV. I'll take a new laptop. I'll take a new monitor because right now, I'm using a monitor and then a little small external monitor. So I'd love to have another big monitor to go side by side.
Okay,
for the editing and all that type of stuff. Gotcha, yeah, so that'll be really good.
Okay, now what kind of TV you want? Because I know you are AJ is really into tech, deep. He's being funny right now, but you really are I know you know exactly what kind of TV you want.
Oh well, it probably one of the Samsung OLEDs. I think the model is I want to say 95C.
I figured you knew. I know you knew.
I think that is the model for it, but whatever the Samsung QD OLEDs are, I think they go up to 75-inch. That'd be perfect. That'd be the ultimate TV, the ultimate theater setup. Watch all the movies and shows. Right. And it looks really good. Nice. And it's, those TVs are good for bright rooms. We got a lot of light. Natural light comes to our living room, so it'll help balance that out. And I think it's got a good anti-glare on there and stuff like that.
Cool. So, yeah, because we always have that problem.
Yep. So that would definitely be the route I want to go. I'm a technology person, so tech. If it's anything tech, you could bet I'm probably gonna
want it. Yeah.
Anything technology, y'all. But y'all let us know down in the comments, or post on the Spotify little poll thing. What are some of the things you want for the holiday this year? So maybe you're a tech person, maybe you fashion, maybe you makeup, maybe you collectible figures. Let us know some of the things that you want, because I might give us some ideas. But that's kind of interesting. The next thing you know, we're looking into something new.
Right.
But y'all, this is the In Love with Horror podcast. Again, this is one of our first Christmas horror episode. We're talking all about Krampus. So it's coming up. Stay tuned. Now, before we jump into the main topic, which is all about Krampus, y'all, of course, we got to talk about what we watched this week. And this week, we're going to focus on one film that we watched, and it's called Older Gods. So this is an indie film coming from Wagyu Films. I'm not sure which country they're coming out of. I wish I would have looked that up beforehand, but small independent studio, Wagyu Films, and Older Gods is a film that it's saying came out this year, 2023. I'm not sure of the exact release time frame, but it's written and directed by David A. Roberts. I believe this is his first feature film debut. It does star Lindsay Bennett Thompson, Ian Coombs, probably pronouncing that wrong. Sorry about that. Jonathan Keeble, and Rory Wilson, who plays our main character, Chris Rivers. So just a quick synopsis about this film. Basically, this film is about our main character, who's an American named Chris Rivers. He is informed that a really good friend of his, Billy, has passed away. He unalived himself.
Trigger warning.
Yep, he unalived himself, and kind of like a moment to discover like what happened to him. He had received like a last voicemail from his best friend, or his really good friend, saying like, "Hey, I need you to come take a look at this thing I was looking at." And he goes to, I can't remember which country was it. Wales? Yeah. So he goes to Wales, which is where his friend was at the time of his passing. And it kind of like this whole mystery and investigation starts because he discovers that his friend was looking into this apocalyptic cult. Yeah. And he starts to uncover like, hey, did his friend really take himself out? What was going on up here? What is this cult that he was investigating? And this whole mystery starts to build. And the film is like a psychological, like horror thriller. Definitely a slow burn.
Yes.
And it's this, kind of it's got a little bit of a Lovecraftian cosmic horror element to it as well.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, it's a very interesting little film. So we want to talk about that. Give it a little review. We want to give our thoughts about it. We will keep it spoiler free, so no spoilers for anyone who has not seen the film yet. It's over on Amazon Prime right now. I think they're doing a physical release later at some point.
Oh, I don't know.
I think I might be wrong, and I'll double check on that. But I think it'll come either to other platforms or at least get a physical release at some point. But yeah, let's talk about this film, babe. First, did you want to give, I don't know if you want to go first and give kind of your overall thoughts about this film?
I'll give my overall thoughts. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know what to expect. So going in, but it is one of my things. I think I said to you, I was like, this was a beautifully shot movie.
Oh, definitely.
Like it was crazy. I thought it was very creative, like just the way they approached everything. It was just super interesting. It kept me really engaged. I was like, what is going on?
Right.
Like, what do you think you know? And then it's like, what? Okay. It's switching languages real quick. And it's like, okay, no, that's not exactly what I thought at all. So it definitely keeps you engaged, wanting to know what's happening, what's going on. It kind of reminded me of like those games we play, those mystery games we play, like the murder ones.
Oh yeah, the hunter killer ones.
Right, you get these pieces. They give you all the pieces, and you got to figure out how they work. And this is basically how this movie is mapped out. I really like the main character, Chris. Like his performance was so good, and like most of the time he's just in there by himself, like either talking to himself or whatever, and he does a really good job.
Yeah, most of the film, I'd say 90% of the film is spending it with
alone, basically.
The actor Rory Wilson. Pretty much 90% of the movie is all just him
by himself.
Yeah.
And he does a great job. I was like, dang, because when you're acting, I'm thinking of it like from an actor point of view, right? Like he's like, there's moments when he's like talking to the door or, he's not talking to anybody, you know what I'm saying? So he did a really great job. He definitely sold me on his performance.
Yeah.
There's a lot of creepy moments, eeriness, dread. And I keep talking about the visuals because the visuals are just insane.
Yeah, they are really good.
They're super good. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a really fun experience. Like, because you kind of go crazy with him because you're just trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I agree. I actually thought this was like pretty good. And I'll be, we like to keep it real on the podcast. Yeah. That's what we do. And I keep it real. Like if at first going into this, because, we had recently watched The Outwaters, which is another kind of another indie film, lower budget.
Yeah.
And that like turned, that shit was very sour for me. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, this is, and it's weird because it's on a lot of people's lists for that they really liked it.
It is.
And I gotta be honest, I didn't really like it.
I didn't like it either.
Like I really didn't like it. So like when I went into this, I was like, oh man, like here we go. It's gonna be another low budget indie film that like just like the idea was there, but it is not executed very good. But lo and behold, I was pleasantly surprised because this is actually a decent film. And like you said, like most of the time you're spending it with the protagonist, Chris Rivers. I almost said Chris Evans. With Chris Rivers.
Maybe you speaking something into his life right now.
Hey, look, Rory Wilson.
Like
you know, I'm manifesting for you, man.
Right.
You better go and do some big things. But you know, most of the time you're spending it with this character, Chris Rivers, right? And he does a great job. Like there's moments where like he's on like phone calls and getting very kind of emotional. And you know, a lot of times, sometimes in some of these lower budget indie films, like the performers like they're giving it their best. And like sometimes they're trying to like really muster a cry.
Too hard.
It's not working. But everything felt very genuine, very natural. And so I really liked his performance, and the character was very believable. Like all the performances and the characters felt like believable and relatable. You know what I'm saying? Even when you learn about certain backstories and things like that, you're like, oh, this is like you can really relate to what's going on. And some of like the family dynamics and things like that. And like you said, there's some great creepy moments. There's some beautiful shots. Over on their YouTube channel on Wagyu Films, they have some behind the scenes stuff and even a VFX reel as well, where they show some of the VFX work in this film. And I got to tell you, like for the budget of this movie, the visual effects was on point.
They were super good.
And I'm probably going to use it for the thumbnail, but one of my favorite shots, you probably see it in the thumbnail for this section of the video, where it's like some like pillar in the sky and he's like going like this. That shit is amazing.
It's so good.
That shot is like magnificent, y'all. Like, that's such a beautiful shot. Like even when it first popped on the screen, I was like, damn, and like that's a good shot.
Coupled with the music or like the sound that they were playing I was just like, oh yeah, that's
the sounds of what is presumed to be whatever this being could potentially be, because you never really know what's going on. But the voices are really good. And bringing that up to the music was actually really well. I don't know who composed on this film.
It was
I didn't check before this, but it was great. Hey, the composer, shout out to you, because there's some great tracks and sounds in this film in general. But it's a tight film. I think it comes in at like an hour. What was it? Like an hour and 30?
Yeah,
something
about
like
that.
And so it's a very tight package. It doesn't feel like it goes on for too long. Sometimes these films, especially slow burns, like they're a little too slow. But I don't ever feel like there's a moment where I'm like, okay, like
come on now.
Like, all right, like we get it. You're a slow burn. Like let's get to the point a little bit. I never felt like that with this. I feel like it's pretty evenly balanced, evenly paced.
I think they cut it right when you probably about to get to that point.
Right, exactly. So like they let it build a little bit, but then they give you something else to help you renew your interest in the story. Like, oh, so we got this new piece. Okay, now I'm back in it. Okay, what's going on? The gears are turning.
Right.
But yeah, there's some, like we were saying, great emotion, great drama, great effects, very creepy moments. It's very atmospheric type of movie.
But that's very a good atmospheric word to explain it.
And like it's all about the feel and the tone, and the mystery. The intrigue, especially having that cosmic horror flavor. And that cosmic horror flavor is a little light. I do wish they went a little bit heavier on it. And maybe that's just like a budgetary restriction. Maybe they had a bigger budget. They could have went more, balls to the wall essentially with that cosmic horror level.
Absolutely
like
agree
if I think
that.
about the Nicolas Cage one that came out recently, what was that one called? Like The Colors in Space or something. The Colors from Outer Space or something like that. They went crazy with that film, but obviously the film had a bigger budget. But but for the tight little package that this was this was actually a pleasant surprise. Like I really, really enjoyed this. I'm curious to see what other work David Roberts does. If he uses the same team, I would love to see what they do next. Because I thought it was.
And they also filmed this during COVID times.
Yeah, so I believe the behind the scenes mentioned that.
Yeah. So that was really dope. I think in their interview, he was like, we're not going to let that stop us from doing what we're going to do.
Achieving our dreams. Yeah. So, hey, bravo to y'all. Like you wanted to shoot a feature film. Yeah. You went out and did it. Yeah. And now other people can say that. Where it's like, I went and shot a feature length film. Yeah. And then it was actually all right. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people can't say that. But no, this is. And it's cool because we recently did a indie horror discussion. I was
gonna bring that up.
Yep, we recently did an indie horror discussion.
Check that out if you haven't already.
With Evil Tyrone. So go check that out if you haven't seen it. But one of the things that we kept mentioning was, when you have a lower budget, you have to get creative. On how you tell the story, how you present it, how you tell it visually. The audio of it. And I feel like this is a great example of how you you work within the budget limitations, but you still can achieve something great. And think about it. There's not that many set pieces in this film. There's not even that many performers. And you know, granted, there's a lot of isolation and things like that. But even within that, like, it's still a good film. Even when I was watching this at times, I was like, man, like, some of these shots are comparable to like big budget movies, like the feel, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know this is David Roberts' first feature length, but watching it, I kind of thought that like this wouldn't have been his first.
I agree.
Yeah, I know he's done, I think, short films. Now I'm not familiar. I haven't seen any other short films, but like it kind of seemed like he was already, you know, this ain't his first rodeo with feature length movies.
There's one shot, and this is not a spoiler, so I'm just gonna say there's one shot in this film where the main character's like outside looking for something. I think it's my favorite shot because it's dark, and then you can see like the flashlight moving through the light. I don't want to give it away, but too much. But that was like my favorite shot. There was some really creative shots in this movie.
And shout out to the cinematographer, because I just looked it up on IMDb. Sean Bishop. Shout out to you as well, because this movie was absolutely gorgeous at times.
It really was.
And there's a lot of detail in the film too. Like a lot of the like the different like set pieces, like the different evidence that he was reviewing that his friend left him, like the notebook. And I like stuff like that.
I do too.
Yeah.
Because I was watching one recently. Now, this one had a bigger budget. And they were using newspaper clippings that looked like paper they printed out of the printer and cut. And I was like, come on now, y'all. Yeah. But their stuff looked really authentic. Yeah. And I was like, see, now they know they could have done better than
right. And it's one of those things where it looks so good where you almost want to pause the movie and be like, let me pause this so I can read what this article says or what this picture has on it. So I can like really investigate it. Because you get that into it where you're like, I want to see. Like, I want to, like,
be a part of it.
You're learning about the film as Chris Rivers learns, right? Y'all are learning at the same time. Your eyes are his eyes.
Right.
And so what he knows, you know.
Right.
So you're wanting to pause it and investigate it too, being like,
so that's why I kind of compare it to the game.
Let me read through that. Right. Oh, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because you're getting all the pieces out later. Let's lay it all out and let's see what we got. You know, I want to see too. Right. Yeah. So that's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah. So, hey, shout out to the whole team that worked on this beautiful little indie film. Great slow burn. And for anyone who's watching who is deciding if they want to see this film, I do want to remind you that it is a slow burn. Like, fair warning. So like I can tell you right now, if you don't like the kind of slow burn, mystery, psychological type horror thriller type of films,
this is not for you.
You won't like it. I'll keep it a buck. You're not gonna like it.
Yeah.
But if you like the more slow burn stuff, think of stuff like the what was that film called? Was it The Invitation? I think it was called The Invitation.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, where it was like where they had the friends over for dinner. And that movie was very slow.
It was.
But this is but it's very atmospheric, and then it builds to something.
Now, I was watching.
This is a little bit better pace. It's not that slow, but it's in that vein of slow burn.
Yes. Yeah. I was watching something else, another discussion of other creators. They were talking about knowing your tastes.
Right.
Because some people will say, oh, this movie sucks, or I hate this movie. But it's a movie that they don't, this type of movie they don't really like anyway.
That's right.
So if, like you said, if it's something that you don't normally like, then don't watch this movie. It's not for you.
Right.
Everyone has their own taste. It doesn't make it a bad movie.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. But I can genuinely say that I think that this is
good.
It's a good indie film.
Yes.
Absolutely. Definitely not perfect, but it's like for what they're able to do, I think it's pretty good. So final thoughts and overall, would you recommend the film?
Yes, I would recommend. Good visuals, great acting, good story. I love the story. Yep. So yes, I'll give it 3 stars, 3 out of 5.
Yeah. I second everything that you said. Great story, great effects, great performances, good audio track, some really creepy like visual dream sequences, or dream or maybe not dream type of sequences. That's true. Yeah, but like, and good cosmic horror flavors. It's not too heavy handed. Yeah. But I love that, Lovecraft flavored stuff. Like, I recently watched that one film where what was it called? It was that glory hole.
You be
one.
Forgetting everything.
I don't remember names. Sorry, y'all. But it was that one with where there was like that cosmic being in the stall.
Glory hole, yeah.
Pretty sure it's called Glory Hole. That movie was amazing. And that was another like, cosmic horror type one. I love that movie. That was a big indie movie. It took place in one spot.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I love that movie so much. I thought it was incredible. But this is a great little indie film. Definitely check it out over on Amazon if you think it sounds like it's up your alley. Again, slow burn, so you got to know your taste.
Got no taste.
So don't come back and be like,
shout out to K-Dre. He's the one who said that.
Hey, look, don't come back to us and be like, oh man, y'all said this movie was good. Like, and I'm warning you, if you don't like slow burn, you ain't gonna like it. So I'm warning you right now. So, but if you like that flavor, slow burn cosmic horror, if that sounds like something you would like, check it out because it's actually pretty dope. But I would give it. I think I would go 3.5 out of 5.
I'm gonna tell y'all that's good coming from you.
I'll be honest, like, because I was really surprised.
I was shocked.
I walked away was like, I fully expected not to like this.
Wow.
I fully expected for it to not be that good because of our last interaction with a very heavy indie horror film. I walked away like, what did I just watch?
I just think in that case, some people don't know when to dial it back.
Right.
You talk about balls to the wall, they went balls to the wall, but the wrong direction.
Well, no, it wasn't even that. You can't see what's going on.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah. But I think they were just trying to be too extreme.
I think super artistic.
David Roberts did good here is like, he gave you like a taste of the extremity.
Right.
But it wasn't too harsh.
Well, I think the other film too, they were trying to be very artistic. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they were just overdoing it.
Oh, right. Yeah. This is you can understand. Yes. It's fairly balanced.
I can definitely understand this.
And even within that, there's still some mystery left to it, which I like.
Yes.
Sometimes
I can be like, really? Did it really end
There's some open-endedness to it.
Yes, but I feel like I had a good amount of closure with how it ended.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
There is some little pieces left out, but it's still good. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It landed really well.
Hey, but look, shout out to Wagyu Films, David Roberts, all the cast, all the production crew. This is a smaller team. There's very few people that all worked on this film all together.
Yeah.
But I think y'all did a great job. So shout out to y'all. And, hopefully you'll have continued success with future films. I'd love to see what they do next.
Me too. Same.
Because if you're able to do this with this, imagine like the next horror film. Yeah. Hopefully the next film y'all work on is horror. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But if you do another horror, and you get a bigger budget or something, I'm sure we could, y'all will do something great. I'd love to see it.
Sure.
But for all of y'all who have seen older guys, let us know down in the comments if you're kind of like in agreement with us. Did you think this is pretty good? Did you like the direction? Did you like the sounds, the ideas, the concept, the story? Let us know down in the comments below what your thoughts are on older gods. And if there are films similar to this that you recommend, let us know down in the comments below because we'd love to watch those too. All right, y'all. So let's jump into our main topic, the top 3 reasons why Krampus is the best Christmas horror movie, y'all. We love this movie in this household.
So good.
Krampus is such a dope movie. So what we're gonna do is give you some details about the film, then we'll go reason by reason on why we think that this is probably we think it's the best, but it is like our favorite Christmas horror film. So starting off with some of the details on Krampus, it was released in 2015. It was directed by Michael, is it Dougherty?
I think it's Dougherty.
Dougherty? Directed by Michael Dougherty. Might be pronouncing that wrong.
Sorry.
He directed Trick or Treat. He wrote Superman Returns. And he also directed Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which I thought, which one? I didn't even realize that, too. That's a movie I really like.
I really like Trick or Treat.
The monster sections were dope. And yeah, Trick or Treat is a classic.
It's a good one.
And supposedly number 2 is in development. Now, for the synopsis of Krampus, let me read that to y'all. When his dysfunctional family clashes over the holidays, young Max gets disillusioned and turns into. Let me restart this, y'all. I'm looking at our document, right, and I had the text kind of small, so I couldn't see it very good. So let me just go ahead and reread that for y'all. When his dysfunctional family clashes over the holidays, young Max gets disillusioned and turns his back on Christmas. Meanwhile, this lack of festive spirit unleashes the wrath of Krampus, a demonic force of ancient evil intent on punishing non-believers. All hell breaks loose as beloved holiday icons take on a monstrous life of their own, laying siege to the fractured family's home and forcing them to fight for one another if they hope to survive. Mm-hmm. So that is the general synopsis of Krampus. Now, of course, this is going to be filled with spoilers because we have to be able to talk about the spoilers to really give the reasoning. So if you have not seen Krampus before, I highly recommend you pause the podcast, go check it out for yourself, because some of the twists and turns that it takes are actually really dope.
Yeah, they are.
And I think some of the ideas and the folklore that's presented is really cool. So I think it'd be really good for viewers to go in blind if they've never seen it, and then come back and join us on this podcast. So this is your spoiler warning. With that, we'll go ahead and jump into the reasons.
Yes.
So starting off with number 1, this is our first reason why we think it's the best Christmas horror film. It's based on real folklore and stays pretty true to the legend.
Yes.
Now, in the scene where, is it Omi? Is it
how
it's pronounced?
I think it's Omi.
Omi?
It might be Ami.
Yeah, it's the grandma.
Yes.
In the scene where Omi tells the family about her experience with Krampus, much of what she says about him correlates with the actual legend of Krampus. Now, according to an article on Britannica, he's a devilish companion of Saint Nicholas and is believed to have originated in Germany, which is where Omi is from.
Yes.
So like in that section of the film, we actually got like a cool little segment, animation. That kind of played out, showing, which I thought was a cool way to do it. Like, sometimes people do that and it feels kind of cheap.
Right.
But I thought this one actually fit. Like, I actually like how they did the animation on this, telling the story of what happened to her. And, she talked about during that era, there was like little food. It's like a chaos. People were fighting. Like, I think they showed someone fighting over bread or something like that. And, that's what led to her hatred for it. And then Krampus came and, took everybody out and left her with the little Christmas ornament bell. Now let's talk about Krampus, right? Krampus is a half man, half goat who comes around every year to chase naughty children and maybe even drag them to hell. The movie presents Krampus as having hooves, and Ami mentioned that Krampus took her family to the underworld. And we definitely see that in some of the segments later on when like that little hell gate looking thing opens up.
Right, like fiery portal at the end when he's like taking everybody out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So it kind of seems like that's like where his lair is, so to speak. Now, Krampus' final design for the film was distilled from various postcards and illustrations of the creature over the years.
Yes.
So they looked at all the different creations over time, over I'm sure like Christmas stories, like little children's books probably, and different postcards, and then came up with the final design, which I think actually looks really good.
It looks so good. I was like, wow.
It's all practical and it looks great.
Right. And at first I was like, because it's been a while since I watched it. Obviously, I loved it, but I still have. It's been a while. I think maybe 2 Christmases ago we might have watched it. I don't think we watched it last year.
I don't think so.
Anyways, I was like, I forgot how cool he looks.
Yeah,
like he looks
very cool.
super cool. Like the details and like his robe and all of the chains that's hanging out of his costume, like everything just looks super good. His long beard and his face just
and his hands, the nails.
The nails. And he had like gold rings on his hands. I was like, dang, this joint look hard.
Yeah, and it's dope. And then even when he walks, like it's very heavy and the chains are rattling.
Yes.
Like
I love
that was cool. Like I love that. Yeah. It was super dope. Now, is there anything else you want to add to our first reason section? So that's our go ahead.
Go ahead, no.
Okay, so that's our first reason, y'all. Now, the second reason is the characters seem real.
They do.
Now, from the start of the movie, you can clearly see and understand the dynamics of the family. The writers, Mike Dougherty, Todd Casey, and Zach Shields did a great job writing these characters. The movie opens with the view of people fighting over things in the store, and we pan to the stage where Max is in a fight, and when they get home, no one's really listening to what he has to say, and that continues throughout the first half of the movie too. And later on, Max is telling his parents to look outside, because there's a snowman outside. And, even then, they don't really pay attention.
Yeah. And then they start talking about something else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So, like, throughout the film, everyone, like that family seems like a very believable family. Right. And that happens. People get absorbed into their own different things. They stop paying attention to what's going on.
Yep.
And, people don't feel heard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that speaking of that opening, that reminded me of like Thanksgiving. We recently saw like they had that Black Friday opening where like shit went crazy. So it's funny because like you said, we hadn't seen it in a while. And honestly, I had forgot this movie opened that way.
Yeah. So
when it did open that way, I was like, oh, this is hilarious actually. And like set to the Christmas music, like it was perfect. Like I actually really liked that. Now, the mom, Sarah, is that mom that is worried about the optics. She wants a perfect Christmas, the perfect house, the perfect everything, to the point that she allows herself to be stressed out about it. She's got those perfect holiday photos on the walls, and when Aunt Dorothy comes over, she says, "Looks like Martha Stewart threw up in here."
Yeah,
which I thought was really funny.
She
saw
hilarious.
Like the perfect China
everything
cabinet.
Was like super perfect. Yeah, the decorations and like. Now that's really funny story about the photos is like in this particular one, Santa's like checking out the daughter.
Oh, that was funny.
Behind
the pervy photo.
And she's like, oh my God. Like
because it's basically like they ruined the perfect.
They ruined the perfect holiday photo. Yeah. So she's like super focused on all that extra stuff. Even the dynamic between Sarah and Omi, like Omi is very like traditional. She's a traditional grandma. Like she's like cooking all these desserts and all this stuff. And she's like, oh, we don't need all this. Like, but that's the dynamic between like the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law. I thought was really well like portrayed as well too.
Because it almost seemed like also only the dad and the son
can understand
what she's even saying.
Also, it's kind of like the son understands her because he takes the time to connect with her and listen to her. Exactly. But the mom is just like talking over everybody, kind of like running everything. But she's not really like paying attention to them on like a personal level.
Right.
So yeah, she doesn't understand her because she hadn't taken the time to try to understand her. Yeah.
Right. And that's a good point because she's focused on the wrong things, right? She's focused on like the idea of what a family is supposed to look like on Christmas. Instead of just like, it's just about the family and spending the time and hanging out, making memories. It's not about like, oh, we gotta have this perfectly wrapped or, present, this perfectly ornamented tree, this perfect meal.
Perfect gingerbread house.
Perfect gingerbread house.
That gingerbread house was super. I was like, dang, that's a nice tell.
Yeah, like
gingerbread house.
All those windows. That gingerbread house had an open floor plan.
That was nice.
There was a couple stories. Probably like a 5-bedroom, 3-bath. Like, it was nice.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the dad. The dad, Tom, is kind of focused on work. Even Sarah calls him out for it in the beginning. And of course, Beth, the daughter, is like the typical teenage daughter who would rather be with her boyfriend, Derek, than at home with her family. And lastly, the in-laws, complete opposite than the main family. The characterization of these people just seemed to be authentic and reflect real life situations.
Yeah,
very believable family dynamic, right? Because typically, like when the in-laws come, or like the brother-in-law's family, or sister-in-law's family, or whatever, like they're, they typically don't. They didn't like raise their household the same.
Right, exactly.
So like you get this like kind of clash where it's kind of like, oh, like y'all do this over here. Like y'all making this kind of food.
Right.
And they, and they commented on everything that she did.
Yeah, they did.
She was like, they're like, what is this? Like what kind of food is this?
Right.
And I think the mom makes a comment of like, oh, I'm sorry I didn't make like mac and cheese and hot dogs like y'all eat all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and I think then I forgot. I feel like and I can't remember their names. Let's see if I can pull up
Howard is the husband.
Yeah.
And Linda is the mom, is the wife. I don't remember.
And I feel like Howard made a comment of like, oh, like what's wrong with that? Like that's good food or something. He says
he
I
was
feel like
hilarious.
The demeanor was like that. And yeah, David Kochner is Howard. I think he's funny in literally any role that he does. But he was especially funny here.
He was super funny.
Because even when she talked about the food, he was like, it's kind of dry. Which I thought was super funny.
Yeah. There's another part later on when he's like, oh, I'm starting to like you, Tom. But then he called him like a spineless something. I forgot exactly what he said, but like he was making it as a compliment, but it was super backhanded.
Right.
It was just he was just super funny.
Well, yeah, the in-law family was like shitting on them every chance that they got.
All the time.
Because even like when Howard brought up the table, he's like, so Tom, like, did you play ball back then? He's like, no, I didn't. That was actually it. He's like, oh yeah, what did you do again? Eagle Scout. Oh, Eagle Scout. I forgot what he commented about being an Eagle Scout.
It's so funny.
He's like, no, you actually learned survival skills or whatever. He's like, okay, like something like that.
Yeah.
But Tom was played by Adam Scott. He was great. Obviously, Toni Collette is always amazing.
Yeah.
She played Sarah, the mom of that family. But that's one thing about the performances. They're all very good.
Yeah, they're good.
All extremely believable. Which created a lot of, and I think we're going to get to it later on, but it created a lot of like emotional,
yes, we did.
different moments and stuff like that. But yeah, the family dynamic was, I'm sure like a lot of people could relate to a lot of elements within that family dynamic in the film, which is another reason why Krampus is such a dope film, because you can see yourself in some of these different aspects, whether it be like, the person who's trying to have the perfect Christmas, or the person who is not feeling heard within their family. Like, it's definitely a film that because of that, presenting all the different range for the ages, like any age can watch this and kind of have a relatable character to relate to amongst that group.
Yeah.
Super dope, y'all. Now let's move on to the third reason why Krampus is, one of the best, or the best Christmas horror film. And that's that the film Krampus is a multifaceted movie. Right. So Krampus is a horror comedy, and it balances all the elements of horror, comedy, and drama very well. There are some moments of humor in the beginning of the movie, especially the dinner table, like we just talked about. But other than that, much of the first half of the film has a more serious drama tone, which it does. And it works well for the film, as Max and his family deal with the fact that they are in confined space with no power, heat, etc. Once everything kind of shuts down, once Krampus comes, they're also dealing with the fallout of what was in Max's letter.
Yeah.
That's a great moment we didn't talk about too.
Yeah.
Is he his cousins stole his letter and read it out loud, and even Aunt Dorothy commented like, "Oh, at least someone's speaking facts, like speaking the truth out here," because they talked about like he laid everyone's problems out on the table, right? his parents having a disconnect, right? He wish they were in love again. They don't take moments to themselves and find joy in each other like they're supposed to. Talked about the Howard's family, like they seem to be the way that they're presented. They're more in the poverty, impoverished family, right? And he's like, oh, I wish things weren't so hard for them,
right?
And then the last thing he said was he wished that he didn't wish that his daughters were boys or whatever, which obviously he does. He wants them to play ball and stuff like that. But yeah, like it balances those elements really good. The comedy is on point. Like especially that dinner table, it was hilarious. Like he even makes when they first got there, he made a point of like saying like because the middle son was like really the middle son was like really big. He's like, oh man, he's gonna be the biggest lineman like by the time he gets to high school or something like that, which is super funny. They're very like they present them like the redneck family, right?
Yeah,
like
right. That's
they
exactly
like
right.
to go hunting. They like to play football. Yeah, like. That type. He drove a big ass Hummer, taking that point of like, I don't care about the environment. Like that's the vibe you got from that family. But then the drama, right? Like there's a lot of dramatic moments, even in the horror moments, like especially towards the end of the movie. I think, I don't know, did you put that in this section too later on? Yeah, so we'll get to it. But the balance is perfect. Like it's literally a perfect balance. Now the comedic fantasy elements are more turned up once it's revealed what is happening. It's super hilarious, but it's not so over the top that it's ridiculous, but it's fun and creepy. Yeah. There's a moment when Sarah and Linda are talking. They hear these footsteps scamper around upstairs. Sarah's like, it's squirrels, and Aunt Dorothy says, yeah, probably playing with their nuts. And when Tom sees the Jack in the Box terror toy eating the twins, he says, oh, come on. Or when Howard is getting attacked by the gingerbread men, he says, we should have gone to my brother's. He said that like a couple times.
Yeah,
actually.
He did.
Yeah. Now, Tom
he was like, he was saying it after he got his leg bit up and they were in the house. And he said, we should have gone to my brother's. And she was like, your brother lives in a barn. He said, Jesus was born in a barn.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I did like that too.
Yeah. That was good.
And even when Tom was getting stabbed by the robotic toy, and he's like, "You got to be kidding me!"
That was hilarious. I was like, "This dude getting stabbed in the back,
tore up in the back." And they, and the comedy is still because it was pretty ridiculous. It was, but it was super funny. It was funny, but it was still terrifying. It was at the same time.
Like it's crazy
because the threat was still real.
The threat was still
even
real.
though it was comedic, it was like, oh, this is the threat is still there.
Yeah,
like, this is really happening. Like, they're really getting taken. Presumably killed. It's kind of the impression that you get.
Now those terror toys were something else. Like one white angel looking thing that was like a bat or whatever. Yeah. That thing was hilarious.
Yeah, that thing was going ham on her. Yeah, it was going super.
It was tearing her up. And then it like wrapped some lights around her neck and was like trying to hang her.
And did it really fast too. He wrapped her up real quick.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Now, there are also some emotional moments, like the tender moment between Tom and Sarah when they are worried about Beth. And Tom is trying to get her to not stress, and they share a sweet look at each other, and she says, I miss us. And that was, I think, that was a nice moment where it's like harking back to the letter that Max wrote, saying like they need to, focus back on focus back on them. And later, near the end, Linda and Sarah both do all they can to save their kids and sacrifice themselves so they can get out. There's a moment in that truck.
I literally cried when that part happened.
Yeah, you did.
We watched the movie twice before this episode, but the first time I watched it by myself, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Because I was like, putting myself in their shoes, like, what would I do? Obviously, you would want your kids to try to survive, and it's just super like real. Like you were saying earlier about the characters being relatable. Like that is a very relatable moment. Like shit hitting the fan. I'm not gonna make it, so I gotta try to get my kids out of the situation. So I thought that was a really great. Emotional scene. Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like all the parents and family were doing all they could, even when old boy's getting pulled up the chimney. Oh yeah, yeah. Like and Sarah jumped to grab him. Yeah, and everyone was trying to work together. Yep, trying to get him pulled out. Yep. The only one part that I was, I don't know if I might have took it out because I was gonna mention it, but how the Linda was like she never had her baby, and like when they first got home, there, the baby was left in the truck. And then she was always like, "Get your sister," like, and she was never like with the baby. And then at the end, the baby gets taken. It's like, "Where's your sister?" And they're like, "Cause you never got the baby. Baby got took. Baby got snatched right on up. She that little thing picked that baby up and walked right out the window. Yep.
But even then, like, Howard jumped on that.
Yeah, he did.
Jack in the Box thing. Yeah. Like they was doing everything they could to get their kids back.
Yeah.
Which everyone can relate to who has kids. Like, you're gonna do whatever you can for your kids.
Right, absolutely.
So that, y'all, is our top 3 reasons why Krampus is one of the best or the best Christmas horror film. The first reason was it's based off of real folklore and stays pretty true to the legend. The second reason was the characters seem real. They seem very authentic, genuine, relatable. And then the third reason is, the film is a multifaceted movie. The horror, the comedy, the drama, it's all there. And they all blend. The blend of it is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a perfect blend for the perfect recipe, for a perfect Christmas horror film. Now, we also want to take the time to talk about some other things that we liked about this movie. We'll maybe dive into some more detail about it. One of the first ones, of course, was the opening scene. Kind of mentioned, like, that was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really happen as much anymore. Like, I think we even saw this year, like Black Friday, like no one was really out anymore. Like, I saw some videos online, like, man, this store is empty. Like, no one's really, so like those type of things don't happen anymore. But before, they were happening. Like, shit was I used to go out and just people watch because it should be so crazy and wild.
Insane.
It'd be hilarious. So like, so it was funny. Like, and even within that, like there's that moment where the 2 guards were tasering and laughing.
Yeah.
And then people were just fighting and getting beat up. And then, like, the moment when they're trying to take that picture with Santa, trying to get the baby to smile.
I was like, I think about the time we tried to do that once with our youngest. Well, next to youngest.
Yeah, and he was
not
just feeling
crying. He's like, literally the picture is him with his arms out crying. I was like, so we don't do that anymore. We don't do the whole Santa thing. But I thought that was super funny.
Yep. That was because it's very realistic. And even in that moment, it kind of was a close up of Santa's face. He's kind of like, this is my life.
Why am I here?
Yeah, this is I don't know why.
Why do I have this job? Yeah,
I got to pay the bills somehow. Also, a scene that we both really like is the first time Krampus shows up.
Yeah, when
Beth is like trying to get to her boyfriend's house, and there's like the blizzard hit, and then she sees that figure on top of the house. And
it's so hard, right? Because you got this picturesque, snowy house, house covered with snow, and then you got this big ass figure with these horns sticking out on top of this house,
and then he starts running and jumping.
Yes, and I was like, dang, he's fast.
Yeah, it was just funny because when you get the impression, he seems slow
because he's so big.
But yeah,
and even when you hear him walking, it's just
very like boom, like Godzilla.
But he's jumping and everything, super quick,
jump from house to house. So it was
so crazy.
It was a hard scene. I actually really liked the way that played out.
I do too.
And then the part where she's underneath and his feet hit the ground. Boom.
Yeah, and
he starts walking around. It was very creepy. Yeah. Like, that was dope.
But when you listen at the legend of the fact that he's supposed to be like the shadow of Santa Claus, and I thought about you ever seen the Santa Claus movies, the original ones with Tim Allen, and how fast Santa is able to move. I was like, okay, well, it makes sense for him to be really quick.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. And then we talked about when the baby got taken.
Oh yeah. Okay, I didn't know if I mentioned it or not. Okay, yeah.
Yep. And then another hard scene is when Ami like confronts Krampus. Like, she tells everybody to get out.
Oh yeah, and then like, Max is like, she wants to face him, and that was really cool. Like the moment of seeing him like walk towards her, like it was super good, and then you get a really clear shot of his face. Yes, because before that you didn't get to see him, and then just like hearing his breath, and then the chains.
And he like recognized her.
Yeah, he does.
And he like brings that sack out.
Licks her like
he did like do his tongue.
It was so gross.
That's another weird scene. Yeah, he's like, I remember you.
And then he opens up his bag, and then you got all the little tear toys in there, and they're like,
But that was a really dope scene.
It was.
That's another
so
scene of like showing like Krampus's like presence and power and stature. That was super dope.
It was.
Then we also got like another great scene. I know you and I both really like it, and that's when Krampus gives the ornament to Max, and then Max kind of goes after them. He throws it. He's basically saying like, I take back my wish, give back my family. He throws the ornament, and then that. I don't know if was it before, but he's like, "Hey asshole." Was that before that part?
Yeah, he's like, "Hey asshole," but this is all the same.
All in the same part. Yeah, like he was determined.
He was super
to get his family back, and he felt guilty. He was like, "Oh shit, it's my fault."
It's all his fault, right? Yep.
And when he threw that ornament, like it hit the ground, it kind of sunk in. Then like the underworld portal like opened up, and Max confronts Krampus again, like face to face, and he's like offered himself, for his family. Take me instead. And then like, you know, he's like, and he's like, he starts crying and stuff, you know, and like, and it kind of does this long shot on Krampus's face, and you're wondering like, oh,
what's
is
he gonna
actually
do?
like feeling kind of bad? And he even like brings his hand up, and like, wipes his tear away. And I was like, oh shit, like. Yeah, maybe it's working, and all of a sudden, like he starts laughing first. He goes like, and then everybody else starts laughing. All the little creatures
start laughing. His helpers.
Yep. And then it was like, oh, like no,
never mind.
Yeah, Krampus don't give
He's
a
not.
fuck.
He doesn't.
He doesn't care at all. And I think they tossed the cousin,
the cousin. Yeah,
they tossed her in, and then you know Krampus like
hangs him over.
I think Max said something like, you know, I just wanted Christmas to be normal again.
He was holding him over the thing.
Yeah, and he picks
like,
him up, holds him over, and he drops his ass in there
Christmas
too.
To be normal.
Yep. And you know, that was just a dope scene because like you know, Krampus is like pure evil.
Yeah,
like there's no like mercy. There's no like forgiveness. There's nothing like like he's set on
the mercy in that aspect would have been him just being like Omi and not following behind them.
Yep.
But like you said, he was just so determined to save his family.
Yep. And then of course the ending, which is a very cool ending because you know Max wakes up and for a moment, you know, you're thinking like, oh, maybe this was just like a dream.
Maybe or I was also the very first time I watched it, I was thinking, oh, maybe he did forget, like take it back. You know,
like, I thought thought they were just like, oh, it was like a dream moment.
Like the whole thing was a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was thinking it would happen, but just that since he threw them all in there, it was kind of like a reset.
Yeah,
like
okay,
that.
I can see that too.
The very first time I watched this, yeah.
Yep, and so like you know, all the family's downstairs. It's Christmas morning. You know, about to open gifts and stuff like that. And you know, Max is hyped. He's got his family back. He's hugging his mom and stuff like that. And she's like, oh wow, you know, okay.
Yeah.
But then, you know, Max gets his gift. He opens it. It's the Krampus ornament.
Yeah.
And then when everyone sees it, it's almost like everyone's like, "Oh shit!" Like maybe it wasn't a dream. Almost like if everyone had like a collective dream, like, "Oh, I had a weird dream." You know? Like no, it's like then they're like, "Oh, all this shit really happened." And then it like zooms out the house.
Yeah.
And it zooms out some more. It turns out they're in a snow globe, and you know, Krampus had set it on the counter. You see like a ton of other snow globes, where he's trapped other families in this eternal like thing. You know, and it kind of got me wondering like. Is Omi's family in there?
I thought about that same thing too. Maybe her family has a globe somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they're just eternally stuck all in there together.
It's crazy.
I don't know how that works, but it's definitely very interesting.
I thought so too.
But you know, there's a lot of interesting other thoughts too, like the fact that it happened to Omi and then it happened to her grandson. It's a very interesting idea. And almost makes you wonder like, is there some sort of lineage thing at play where because she was impacted that the potential for someone else in the lineage to be impacted? I don't really know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it was just based on his wish.
Just that sheer wish thing of like, F Christmas is, oh, okay, so you want to do the evil Christmas. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. But yeah, like what's your overall thoughts on the film?
I mean, I love this movie.
Yeah.
It's just a really good movie. Like I feel like it just has everything, all the flavors that you like about a Christmas holiday horror movie. They have it all. Like you have like the lore and legends, and you know, obviously the Christmas. Think of that Christmas aesthetic, basically,
right?
And then, you know, the family dynamics, and I mean, I don't know. It just has all the pieces to me that make a really good horror film with the Christmas flavor, which I love.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Like this movie is perfectly balanced. It's got the Christmas flavors. It's got the family dynamics. It's got the holiday music, the holiday themes, and then to have like this alternate like evil version of Christmas being in, you know, Krampus being the representation.
Yeah,
it's dope. And it has like great messaging too.
Yeah,
you know, within their downfall, within their despair, you have this like, you know. You can have like a reflection on yourself within that of like, oh man, like you got to appreciate these little different moments, you know, like that initial wake up with Max, seeing his family, like it's like, oh, you got to really like hold on to the memories, you know, accept the dumbness, accept some of the imperfectness within Christmas, but realize what it's all about.
Yeah.
So I think that's also cool messaging within this film too.
Yeah.
But that's what I think this movie's great. I think it's well directed, well crafted, well edited, a great, you know, sound design, great fun. It's also like a good, like, almost like family horror film too, in that like, because I think our son, he watched it with you the first time.
He did. Yeah.
Because when we rewatched it, because you rewatched it first, and then I rewatched it again later, like this past weekend. And I think even he was watching it, and it's not so scary that like it would terrify somebody,
right?
Like
exactly.
give them nightmares type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's another cool thing about it is, it in a way is like a family like horror Christmas film, which is really cool.
I agree with that.
But yeah, this is I love this film. I think it's a fantastic Christmas horror film, a great horror film in and of itself that balances the horror, the comedy, the drama. I think super well, and I love to see him do a sequel. I think he even mentioned
he's got an idea, but I don't know how likely we are to actually get a sequel.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe we might one day.
It might be another, another 10 years or something. He's working on Trick or Treat 2 and stuff like that. So it might be some time, but it's cool to think that it's possible we might get another one. Because I think this is really well done. And I'd love to see more
or
things
another
like this.
good Krampus movie. Because I think Krampus is a really good ideal to put a horror movie around, because it's a scary idea, and we all know horror and kids go well together, horrifying kids. But I think it would be even if he didn't do one, someone else doing a really good Krampus movie,
and it's cool because that gives them the opportunity to do their own interpretation of Krampus. So it doesn't have to look like this one. They can do something completely different,
right?
That looks maybe even scarier than that version. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And really go heavier on the horror than what this one did. This one's a little bit more fun horror. They could go straight, this is scary as hell horror.
That's true.
And it could be kind of fun that way.
Yeah, true.
So I think there's definitely potential.
Kind of taking the vibes of a Robert Eggers movie, and then putting that with Krampus. That would be hard.
You might be on to something.
I think so.
What if Robert Eggers did do a Krampus?
That would be fire.
Look, Robert Eggers never watched this podcast ever.
I know, right?
Robert Eggers, if you happen to see this episode, you need to do a Krampus film. Because that would be crazy. Yeah. Oh man, that would be fire.
That would be fire.
You got me hyped off of that one. Damn, I want to see that. But yeah, I think it'd be cool for anybody to take their own approach with Krampus. I think there's a lot of potential for that character that is very unexplored.
Right.
But yeah, so hey, that's what we think about Krampus. We love this film. We give it high praise, high recommendation. If you've never seen this film, you definitely got to check it out, because it's even for people who don't like horror, they can still like this film 100%. I promise you, it's great. But let us know down in the comments, y'all, if you've seen Krampus, what do you think about it? Is it one of your favorite Christmas horror films? And if it's not, what is your favorite Christmas horror film?
Yes, let us know.
Now, of course, this is our first episode in a series. Of Christmas horror. We're going to talk about 3 other horror films, each coming up Saturday. What do we want to reveal our next one, or we want to wait?
Our next one is Black Christmas, the 70.
I can't remember the exact year.
Okay, the 71, 70s.
So we're talking about that one. It's the 70s one. We'll be talking about that.
Yes.
Is it sure 70s, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I can't remember that. Yeah, 70 sounds right though, given the vibe of it. But yeah, we'll be talking about that on the next one. We got others who will talk about.
Look it up. Huh? You want me to look it up?
Nah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it is.
If we're wrong, somebody gonna correct us.
Okay,
it'll be all good. I honestly can't remember if it was 60s or 70s, but either way, somewhere in there, it's.
Okay, now you got me thinking.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it's 7. I think it's 70 something.
Yeah. Either way, it's in that era, y'all.
74, maybe.
It is a classic.
All right, what's the Black Christmas? Y'all, the first one, y'all.
Yeah, and it's a great. That is a great film in and of itself as well. Yeah. So I think that'd be a really fun one to talk about. But again, y'all let us know what are y'all's favorite Christmas horror films. Again, coming up this Wednesday, we'll be posting online our 12 Days of Horror Miss, and we'll be talking about a film to watch each day leading up to Christmas Day. So make sure you're following us and subscribe for that graphic to drop, so you can watch films with us each day, and we have a little discussion post about it and whatnot. Also,
we started our Patreon.
Boom, yes. Yeah, so make sure you go check out our Patreon. It's patreon.com/inlovewithhorror. It's just a way for people to support us. We want to be able to do more things with this. Obviously, we would need more support. We're still growing, but for people that do want to support us, now we have an option that's there. I know we got the buy a coffee thing on there now too, and then we also got the Patreon. The Patreon is in extreme infancy stage. There's not a lot up there right now, but do know that we do plan on adding stretch goals for the amount of patrons that we get. There'll be some really creative ones as we grow. And then we'll just add more exclusive content on there. And then if you have ideas for what you would like to see us do over on Patreon, let us know that we can go and work on that and getting that type of content over in there. But it's just a way to allow people to support us if they choose to do so. And we would greatly appreciate it if you choose to support us. We thank you in advance if you do. As always, we appreciate y'all and thank y'all so much for tuning into this podcast, this video. Y'all are awesome. It's hype. It's Christmas horror time. Yes. A lot of, going to be a lot of great discussions about everything. Make sure you follow us across everything and make sure you like, share, and subscribe on this podcast. And if you're listening over on Spotify and Apple, give us a rating over there too, because that does help, boost visibility and all that. Again, this has been the In Love with Horror podcast, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.